What is up? Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Today we're just going to hang out and kind of discuss what we got going on with members, what we got going on with true crime news, what we got going on in the Delphi case, and what other cases you guys want to discuss. Also, we will be having a upgraded members meeting today, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So check your membership. If you are upgraded, we will be having a roundtable tonight just to discuss how you guys are feeling about the upgraded membership, things you might hope for or expect as an upgraded member, or just simply to have a more of an intimate discussion with not so many people in the room, so to speak. Good to see you, Frank. What's up? Tech Death, Mother of Dragons, Olivia, Purple Haze, Cindy, Olivia 2, Eminem, Justin and Sheba's, and bass covers, beaks and bass covers, bass covers, beaks and bass covers. What's up, Julianne? Mother giving a shout out to Kristen and Frank. Red Queen. Hey, what's up, Jamie? So it looks like two of the cases that we're going to be covering for true crime in the morning will be the Jennifer Kessie case and Tara Calico. Not quite sure when we're going to schedule those. Might have one ready for tomorrow, but definitely next Monday. Also working on a video called Catalyst. Now, this is a Delphi related video. And basically just the theory on what I think was the catalyst of this crime. I think it all surrounds Johnny Walker, Kathy's deceased brother. Rest in peace. But I am working on a video surrounding that theory. I think I might have that ready by tomorrow, maybe. What's up, Criminality? Another great channel. Mother of Dragons, Beth, good to see you. Anything I like, welcome in. What's up, Phil? Sarcastic, thank you. Diddums, what's up? Nedra, welcome in. Frederica. And Rain Dancer. So I have two videos, one for each case, one on Jennifer Kessie and one on Tara. So we're just going to look at both of those briefly. Just to kind of give you an idea or an overview of these cases. This is Tara Calico.
The disappearance of a Valencia County teenager, there 1 minute, gone the next. For 35 years, the disappearance of a Valencia County teenager has stumped detectives until now. Just 3 months ago, the Valencia County Sheriff made a huge announcement. Investigators say they know what happened to Tara Calico and who murdered her. Okay. But can they prove it? For investigator Brittany Costello has more on the decades-long search for justice.
Thank you, Julia.
This is where it started. Down a quiet highway on the outskirts of Belen, 19-year-old Tara Calico was on a routine bike ride not far from her home when she vanished in 1988.
I was terrified. I mean, I think most of us were, because it was so shocking that she would go out for a bike ride and not come home.
Melinda Esquivel was a classmate and friend, just 8.
I think This person here has a podcast too. She started based on this case. I was listening to some of it earlier. It's pretty good.
When her sense of community changed. Almost immediately, her mind went to Deborah Lansdale, another young woman who disappeared almost to the day just a few years earlier.
What's happening in this community that now a second girl has gone missing?
It's a mystery that led to her relentless search for answers, one that took her back all those years ago.
What happened to Tara Calico?
Today is the 5th day family and friends are without Tara Calico.
If someone picked her up, I know she would have the presence of mind to try to leave something that
Let's go to the comments here. Jamie says, after listening to the Murder Sheets podcast episode, which one? I am feeling very vindicated today. Not sure which one you're talking about, and what are you referring to as far as vindicated?
I would recognize as hers.
35 years later, there are more questions than answers.
It's never been locked up, put away. She's never been forgotten.
Valencia County Sheriff's Lieutenant Joseph Rowland is part of the hand-picked team working to find and bring Tara Calico's remains home.
You start going back and piece it together from day one. We have the advantage of hindsight now.
All the evidence is in neatly organized binders, decades worth of police interviews, investigative leads, and more than a dozen persons of interest. Tara disappeared right before noon on September 20th, 1988. She was riding her mom's pink bicycle when witnesses on the road that day say she was followed by an old Ford truck with New Mexico plates.
Some creepy old truck.
Something similar to this.
Once I passed her, that's when I first focused my eyes on the so-called escort vehicle. And that's when the hair stood.
That kind of reminds me of the Asia Degree case. One of the witnesses says they saw some kind of a older green looking vehicle. And you always wonder, is this the perpetrator injecting themselves in the case, trying to mislead investigators? I'm always suspicious about that. I always wonder.
Up on the back of my neck, and I said, wait a minute, this doesn't look good.
They put together this sketch of the man behind the wheel, someone in his 30s or 40s, in 1988. At the time of her disappearance, law enforcement, FBI, friends, and family fanned out searching in and around the mesa off Highway 47, where witnesses say they last saw her.
So yeah, we're going to dive into this case. And also Jennifer Kessie. I have another short video. And not Calico, Calico. Sorry about that. Don't forget, I'm half illiterate. At least I thought I did. Maybe not. Haha, fooled y'all. Let's see. I did throw some things in a folder here. Let's see. This is pertaining. Okay, now you guys got to remember technology has changed a lot. So the technology that may have been responsible for the data that she's reporting, that's way outdated. They're not using anything like that to work on this forensics, the ballistics here on Richard Allen's gun. A lot of cases have been actually overturned. Here, I might actually have an article. I don't know if I grabbed it. I mean to grab things, and sometimes I don't, I'm just moving along so quickly. I don't know what I grab and what I didn't. Yeah, I think this is it. This one is titled Ballistics Test Prove Illinois Man Innocent in Murder Case. So if it can prove a man innocent, it can definitely put one in prison. That's the way I look at it. Rain Dancer, I have no clue about guns and ballistics. Really, you don't need to. It's more about machine marks. That just happens to be part of the ballistics when it comes to firearms. Frank with the scrub report. Come on, y'all. 35 likes, 65 in chat. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Don't be a scrub. What's up, Stephanie? Shane, full of hate. How so? There be a link in the world between them. Yeah, we're going to look at it right now. We're going to read this real quick, and then after, this is what we're going to look at. It's what I'm working on with this video. This is basically kind of where Keegan Kline and Richard Allen would be overlapping during their time in Peru. So they would have been staying in this area down here. And it looks like in order to really do anything, they need to come right here. This is, I don't know if they would consider this downtown. Looks like one of the major hubs, though, here. Looks like you have one here, and then another one that runs up this North Broadway Street. Got restaurants, a Walgreens, Taco Bell, Peru High School's up that way, and then down here. So I don't know if this is downtown. But doesn't this bridge look really familiar? The Wabash River search. Notice something about this image here. Just thought it was strange. The one thing that's within their overlapping, I guess their gravitational pull, if you want to call it, their orbit. One basically representing Keegan Kline and the Anthony Shots profile. The other representing where Richard Allen would be staying whenever he was visiting Peru with his wife Kathy to help take care of their mother. So we'll get into that. But first, let's read an article by Ivan Moreno, published in 2019. An Illinois judge acquitted a man of murder Wednesday, more than 2 decades after jurors convicted him by relying on ballistics that proved to be wrong. Supporters of 53-year-old Patrick Pursley clapped in a Winnebago County courtroom when Judge Joseph McGaugh issued his ruling, saying prosecutors had scant evidence to prove Pursley's guilt in the fatal shooting of a 22-year-old Andy Asher during a robbery in Rockford, Illinois in 1993. The ruling caps a decades-long journey Pursley undertook to prove his innocence after spending 23 years in prison. He represented himself from prison for years and lobbied Illinois lawmakers to pass a law allowing the ballistics in his case to be retested using technology not available when he was convicted. The Integrated Ballistic Identification System, or IBIS, uses much higher resolution and multi-dimensional images for ballistics analysis and ultimately matches shell casings to guns. Basically, the whole experience was numbing, Pursley said after the verdict. I was confident all the signs were there, that the judge would see the evidence for what it was. I'm just grateful that he did. So I think the bottom line to this here is that I think at one time the technology was flawed, and you just can't prove anything, right? It's like similar to a fingerprint. Like, how can you possibly say that nobody else on the planet has the same fingerprint? You just can't do that. Scientifically, there's just no way. We don't have the technology to do that. You would have to fingerprint everybody simultaneously, and it would all have to be cataloged, logged, and it'd have to undergo this great, I don't know what you would call it. It would be like an event, really. You just can't do it. So what it's based on is probability. That's how people are convicted with the fingerprints. The probability of somebody else having that fingerprint is just not likely. Same goes with the fingerprint of a firearm. When it comes to machine marks and the ejector and all of that stuff. So if it can get a man out of prison, it can definitely put one in there, right? But let's go back to this. So remember, they were searching right here. So if you were traveling from Keegan Kline's to where Richard Allen is staying, you're going to cross this bridge. And I do believe that Richard Allen left Peru to Delphi and planned to make that his alibi. And I think it would have been a good alibi if he wasn't seen by Betsy Blair. I think he planned to say he was in Peru the entire time. Very similar to what Keegan Kline said. He said, "Oh, I was over here at Paw Pike at my granddad's." Well, I have a feeling that they zipped in from Delphi, right? Doug Carter, why Delphi? Why Libby? Why Abby? Well, the reason Delphi is because Richard Allen is from Delphi. Why Abby and Libby? It's because Keegan Kline was catfishing them. And they also frequent the Monon High Bridge. And that's why Richard Allen, he also visits the bridge quite often. And that's the reason he hatched the plan at the High Bridge. So it's kind of like you ask yourself, how do these types of things happen? Well, it's a recipe. And it doesn't have to make sense to us. We've learned in cases that we cover, sometimes it makes perfect sense to the perpetrator. Like sometimes parents will kill their children thinking there's some kind of merciful angel there to spare the child. It's not going to make sense to you or I or any normal person. You have to actually put your mind almost into the brain of a madman, or at least try to. What are they thinking? What were they thinking? What were they going through? That's why I bring up his brother. Rest in peace. God rest his soul. But there was a recipe for this crime. There was a reason that they picked this location. There was a reason that they targeted those girls, Abby and Libby. And there's a reason that Anthony Schatz was trying to meet the girls here that day. But instead, most likely a Richard Allen showed up. Maybe even a second person. Rain Dancer, Sleuth Intuition, you forgot to tell which leads law enforcement has for the young woman that disappeared. Are you referring to Jordan Sofer? Or the other case that I was talking about? Yeah, we're not going to get into that really too much. We'll save that for True Crime in the Morning. Full of hate, just seems guilty as fuck. And when law enforcement say someone else might be involved, makes me think it's him. Well, I do find it strange that right where, the personal sphere, I guess you'd call it, we don't travel very far, in our day to day. Oh, I want to go grab a bite to eat. Let's go to Papa John's. Okay. Well, I want to go to My Pizza My Way. All right. Well, this one's closer. They're not going to go grab a bite to eat in Logansport. They're going to stay right here with close to their anchor point. Yeah, this is their perimeter. Same goes for Richard Allen and Kathy while they're staying. And my sources tell me that they shared the responsibility of taking care of the ill mother. That Johnny Walker, before he passed away, he was taking care of their mother. And he also shared the same address. They lived together. He was caring for her. Well, now that he passed, that pulled Kathy and Richard Allen into Peru. In the very place where these, and I know it doesn't mean anything, but I just thought it was strange, is the same place where they were searching.
Indiana State Police continue to search a stretch of the Wabash River near Peru tonight. The search area is just 2 miles from the home of Keegan Kline.
So if you were traveling from the home that Richard Allen was staying at and heading towards or from the home that Keegan Kline was living at, you would cross this bridge.
In Kline faces dozens of charges for child pornography and has been linked to the Delphi murder investigation. This search has been linked to the investigation as well by a podcast that reports on the killings.
I was only out here yesterday.
Yeah.
Walking. There was a bunch of them out there. They had the flags.
You guys remember that guy? He's got rune tattoos here. Looks like a tribal Odin's Raven. Not sure what this is. 21. Almost looks like a 2 into a 4.
The flags.
What is that, a name?
They started kind of on this side, and it was the first day I walked by, there was maybe 10 guys all in the same outfits, and I was kind of curious what was going on.
State police would not comment on the river search. Kline has not been charged in connection with the Delphi murders. It's unclear how long that search will continue.
So we always looked at it as they were searching near the Kline home, but they were searching much closer to the Allen home, right? So we have Allen in this area here, and they're searching here. That's much closer to where Allen is. Well, actually, it's the same distance. So maybe they're not searching the water near the Kline home. They're searching the river near the Allen home. Yep, criminality, exactly, right there. Okay. And then another thing, almost very near this area, you have Murphy's Pub and Billiards, and you have a few bars up and down through here that have pool tables and things that might attract the Allens. So between September and I'm saying February, they could have been hanging out, friends that hadn't seen each other since just out of high school. For example, you got Murphy's Pub and Billiards. I have their Facebook up here. Looks just like JC's. Bard list. Cindy. Somebody named Cindy's Bard. And Doug Newman. You know, what are the odds? Bump into an old friend. Next thing you know, you're hanging out. He has to go to, your old pal has to go to work, midnight shift, and his son is passed out on the couch, high off PCP. Him and his neighbor were taking. But shortly before he passed out, he was showing you the Anthony Shots account. My only question is this. Well, not my only, but a question I do have is, how is Richard Allen leaving Peru, which might explain why he was going down 300, right? Instead of coming from his home on the side of the CPS building. So if he was leaving this area, he's not going to take the main roads there or back. So there's the same distance if you go this route and you avoid Highway 24. So that could explain why they were discussing the Marathon gas station. Why would you be at a gas station? Well, you're getting ready to travel quite a distance. And why are you traveling quite a distance? Because you're motivated and it's a good alibi. I was in Peru taking care of my mother-in-law. I wasn't even in Delphi. I believe if he wasn't seen on that bridge, that would have been his answer if ever asked, but he probably would have never been asked. My only question is, if he's leaving Peru and returning directly back to Peru after the crime, did he go back to Delphi the following day as if nothing happened? Fooling everybody, including his family? You know, my husband couldn't have done it, but she knew that he was on the trails. So she would have known that he was supposed to be in Peru. So what do you guys think about that? Also, we have the accident where Johnny, I think he crashed right here in this area. And he would cross that same bridge. Going in and out of town. Klines are just right here. No, right here. Sorry. What's up, CJK? Full of hate. It just seems to suspect that KK knew the girls were going to be there. True Crime with Frank. True Crime Talk with Frank Meister. Just spoke to the chief of police in Wabash. They're still redacting info out of the Jordan Sofer file that I requested. He will call me when ready for pickup. Thank you for that update, Frank. Stephanie, I wonder what Richard Allen did with the knife. And I wonder if it's the same knife he was holding. I don't know. Let's pull this map back up real quick. Okay, so now word on the street, and actually, let's pull that up too. Somebody on Reddit did a great timeline. I should have it ready. There it is. Now, this was put out, let's see, by Crime Lights. And she calls it Documenting the Tony Kline Arrest Hoax. Now, there was a rumor going around that he was getting ready to be arrested. And I mean, it went viral quick. But there was a reason people were expecting him to be arrested. And also, we have another local source who apparently purchased the vehicle of Tony Kline, according to this person, right? We're not here to accuse anybody. We don't have enough information to accuse somebody like a Tony Kline. But this person came forward and said that law enforcement came to their home, asked them if they could take a recently purchased Jeep, a red Jeep that they had purchased. And apparently after it was taken and seized for a little while, it was brought back and they checked previous owners and apparently it was Tony Kline. So right around the time that happened, there was a search warrant served on Canal Street, and we have verification from Keegan Kline himself. He said, while I was arrested, they served another search warrant on my father. And then while that was going on, they served a search warrant on Keegan Kline's grandfather. Now, remember, he died shortly after this. So this may have affected him as well. He may have known something. God rest his soul. And according to that search warrant, they dug up their fire pit. And remember, Keegan Kline said, well, I was at my grandfather's all day. That was his alibi. But we know he was connected to another Wi-Fi network, or at least one of his phones were. Whatever that means. So let's go through this timeline. Once again, this was put out by Crime Lights. September 24th, 2022. Was Tony Kline arrested for the Delphi murders? Question mark. Saturday, September 24th, 2022 at 4:59 p.m. Rumors are swirling that Tony Kline, father of Keegan Kline, was arrested in relation to the Delphi double murder investigation. So far, there has been no official confirmation or denial, but multiple social media pages and YouTubers are reporting a press conference will be held this evening at 6 p.m. Right? So just notice the date. September 24th. Now, this is shortly, I believe, I want to say right when the Wabash River search ended. Yeah, because I believe the search started in August 19th, and ended September 28th. So this is why people are freaking out. So remember, they're searching the river, and also they're serving search warrants. Prior to that, they served one, I think, a few months before that on Tony Kline. Currently, we have heard this information is very likely to be untrue. Tony Kline has not been arrested, and there are no imminent plans for a presser. We will update as the day progresses and timestamp for clarity. All updates going forward will be posted in chronological order, old to new. Update number 1, 5:36 p.m. We have spoken to a total of 3 separate households living within the vicinity of the Klines. None reported witnessing any police presence. This differs from the 2 other times law enforcement paid the duo a visit, with neighbors quick to notice the commotion and cruisers parked on the street. Update number 2, 6:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How did this rumor grow legs? All signs point to Facebook. Late this morning, the admin of a popular Indiana locals Facebook group posted they believed an arrest would be made in the very near future in relation to the Delphi murders. The reason they thought this was because of the search and all of the activity going on behind the scenes. Group members were eager to chime in, but soon the comments began to read like a game of telephone. Early replies were mostly speculative, but quickly morphed from "I have a feeling there will be an arrest" to "I heard there was an arrest. Then I know somebody who saw him being arrested." A low-flying helicopter in the skies over Peru, Indiana added to the excitement. However, flight tracking software shows this was an emergency medical flight. Update number 3, 9:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. An hour ago, Kelsey German, sister of Liberty German and tireless advocate for victims of crime, made 2 statements on Twitter that helped quell the noise. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Trust me, when an arrest is made, law enforcement and our families will post updates. This is a prime example of why I always tell people to only share information shared by families and or law enforcement. Know where you're getting your information. So right around the time this crazy rumor was flowing around, comes to be that they were actually digging up the fire pit of Keegan Kline's grandfather. Now, let me try to find that area. So that would have been Pawpaw Pike. I think it's over here somewhere. So this is Pawpaw Pike. And he says we're Pawpaw Pike and what do you say? Something else? Meat. So somewhere over here his grandfather lives. I have the address, but that's not important. What's important is that they were digging up his fire pit. So did they stop there first? Did they go to Delphi? Remember, we got Keegan Kline with the log in and log out, 2 separate devices, into the Anthony Shots account the morning of the murder around 8 a.m. All right. So did they stop by Grandpa's on the way home to get rid of the evidence? And then from that point, Richard Allen would have been driving down Main Street making a left on South Business 31, right over the bridge that they searched. Throw out the knife and throw out the phone. Okay, now what else do we have that happened during the Wabash River search? I believe it lasted 5 weeks, and during the 4th week of the search, Tony Leggett, I believe, is handed a tip narrative. They discover a lost tip narrative. Right? Is this starting to make sense to everybody yet? Okay, so they have the lost tip narrative, and I think that came from the cell phone. Something on that cell phone led them to Richard Allen. It didn't have to have his name. It didn't have to have the IMEI number. It could just have a piece of information that led to another piece of information that led to Richard Allen. Or it could have led directly to him. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy says, keep kicking out the awesome content, Sleuth. I appreciate that. Thanks for sponsoring today's live stream. All right. What do you guys think about this theory? Let's poke some holes in it. Illinois, don't pronounce it. I said Illinois. It's a silent S. Yeah, I think I did that one time, guys. I don't need too much correcting. But I do appreciate it. But I did say Illinois. Let's tone it down a bit. I'm always amazed by that. Fingertips aren't big, yet nothing is identical. It's a God thing. I bet Richard Allen threw that knife in the river. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure. So the day that they started that river search right here in this area, I think they started here and they kind of moved their way down here. They brought in crash experts to kind of probably give them an idea of where it may have ended up. But what I heard, right around the time the search started, they were looking for a phone and they were looking for a knife. Now, if there's information that they don't want to provide to the public, but they've already provided it to the defense team and it's damaging, the defense team's not going to go out on a bullhorn and yell it to the public. Anything that they provide is going to be towards the Odinism theory. And that's all you're going to hear about. Their strategy. They're not going to help the prosecution do their job. Where is the barn people are talking about? What barn? I've never talked about a barn. Yeah, they are. Afraid to say it, and I hope the parents aren't watching, but I suspect it to be a sexual motivated crime. I think that that's a key component, but I think it's more about silencing, covering up another sexually motivated crime or a relationship or an attempted relationship. You know, I don't know what Richard Allen was thinking. He's traveling back and forth from Peru to Delphi, Peru to Delphi. Where's his wife during this time? She's not with him. So maybe he's feeling a little bit of freedom. And who knows what she's going through? Maybe she's going through depression. She just lost her brother. So she might not be available, right? She's checked out. Not sure what you're referring to, Rain Dancer. Shane, I can't get away from the end of the bridge being the catalyst for this crime. It was the opposite for years. Thought it was personal. I think it was personal. Remember, Libby had her phone reset. I think there was clues there. We know she was trying to meet a 19-year-old boy. Anthony Schatz was 19. We know that she went to some of her friends for help and then backed off and said, oh, I have this under control. You guys remember the story about Brian Kohberger and the BTK? Well, Brian Kohberger had a classmate of his, and he was stalking her and tormenting her. I think even breaking into her home and moving objects. You know, she very well could have been one of his victims. Well, he came to her as a white knight. Like, really? What's going on? Tell me, you know, I can help you. Well, okay, this is what's going on. He said, well, you know, I work for a security company, just like the BTK killer. You know, that's how he targeted, and eventually part of the reason why he got caught. We all know he messed up sending evidence and asked him, oh, well, can this be traced? And they were like, well, of course not. And then he sent it anyway, and it was busted. Probably a subconscious thing. Well, anyway, he lied to his classmate, tormented her, created the conflict, created the issue in her life, and then came through as a hero to protect her. So he was the bad guy and the good guy. Is that what happened with Richard Allen? Were they asking for help from this guy secretly, not knowing he was the one that was behind it all to begin with? Or maybe even the other killer? All right, guys, this will be our 10-minute warning. Let me, I'm going to do my best to catch up on the chat here. Sparky says, hey, criminality. Good to see you. Love your channel, Teresa. Those Illinois folks are a bit crazy to begin with. We don't need to do much to trigger them. Wow. Criminality says, that's where I was born. Whoops. Yeah, very close to the same distance. So again, I asked the question, were they searching the river near the Kline home or near the Allen home where he was staying? The answer is yes. Oh, nice, Saska. Welcome in. Tell your hubby I said, what up? Shane, Olivia, it's a response. Full of hate says it's amazing how little info exists on Richard Allen. I don't think it's amazing. I think that's by design. It's by design. I mean, think about it. And anybody that was kind of looking into the Delphi case, one of the first things they did was pull up everybody that was living in Delphi. I remember all the trolls were making all these little, that's where the DP thing came from. Somebody found an image of DP and found out he was at the trails and he kind of looked like the younger looking sketch. That's how I was born. People searching Facebook. Searching Facebook for people that look like the sketch or the video. Now, if you have everybody and their mama doing that, if you're the killer, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to get rid of everything you've ever done online. And that's going to look very suspicious to your rest of your family. Nedra says, if anyone else is involved, it will come out. Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot more when Richard Allen's ready to talk. And when I say ready to talk, I mean even to say he's innocent. He doesn't act like an innocent man. You can scream up and down the hallways of that courtroom that you want a speedy trial. And then as soon as they close the door, you're talking about how that's part of your strategy. In reality, you don't want a speedy trial. You need more time. Or you just need to create a little more chaos. Julia with the super chat. Did Libby change her number after resetting her phone? I wonder if she was the one getting threats, wiping her phone with all apps, tracking location, not double dating, find my iPhone. Double a date? I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, I just feel like the phone reset coincides with the issue with this 19-year-old. And we know what was going on with that. So when you look at this picture, the only way that you're going to put an Odinist theory in all of this is if Richard Allen and Keegan Kline are part of that. And the reason they targeted those girls and they went to the bridge is that they used the Anthony shots as a tool to get their victims to a certain place. Right? So they could have had the reason as stated in the memo or by the defense. And you have the tool used to lure them being Keegan Kline, Anthony shots, and somehow tied with Richard Allen. To me, that's the only way you're going to bring in a Odinism theory, is if these guys are connected. And maybe that's Richard Allen's plan all along, to slow drip the information. All right, let's go to a couple more comments and then we got to bounce. What's up, Frosty? Welcome in. Hey, my dude Anthony, what's up? Julia, law enforcement specifically asked about a car parked at the CPS building between 12 and 5. Does that necessarily mean his car hadn't been there earlier than 12? Maybe he's going to, well, yeah, they would have known. They wouldn't known if it was parked at the CPS building, but if he was, say, going to and from the cemetery or something like that, they may have known. But also, you can walk right in that CPS building. I have a video of a guy shooting a YouTube video on a unicycle, and he walks right into the CPS building. And this was in end of 2017, I think. He walked right in. So I think that kind of fits in with possibly a drugged out lone wolf theory. Richard Allen parks at the trail, knowing his wife is in Peru. Nobody there supervise his activity or judge him, backs into the CPS building. I have a hunch that local druggies would go in there and get high and then just hang out near the trail. So who's to say he didn't back into the CPS building, get high, and then start walking that trail, looking like a creep, looking like he's heading somewhere with a purpose, like he's having a bad day. Maybe he's just high out of his mind. Just a thought. Rain Dancer, if no one else was seen where Richard Allen was and it was said down the hill, maybe somebody came from the other side of the bridge. Well, we've talked about Wilson Bridge early on as an alternative parking area. Looks like a great fishing spot. There is parking. It looks like you can drive a vehicle back there if you wanted to. So you have Richard Allen luring the girls down the hill. You could, let's say, have a group, the Colt, right, parked at Wilson Bridge, doing their thing, walking towards the crime scene and leaving from Wilson Bridge. So nobody's going to see them if they drive back there. Even they don't even have to drive all the way, just out of sight. Because that's the biggest thing for me. Nobody remembers seeing Julian Powell, yet we know that he was there. Nobody's seen Richard Allen, and we know that he was there. And a lot of folks didn't know about the couple under the bridge. What's up, Wanda? All right, we're going to do two more. Do you think that when Travis T was questioned that he had info on Richard Allen, it seemed like not long after that it gave some direction to Richard Allen, or is it possible they were questioning KK's location? I don't know. I mean, the timing is interesting, but I couldn't tell you. I don't have anything to support that either way. What's up, Candace? Says, I lean towards thinking that she knew, but then I question that because she posted videos and pictures of him on Facebook. Well, the majority of those were in 2016, like all the stuff with him in the blue jacket. That was before the murders. But I think in this theory, if Richard Allen is connected with the Anthony Shots account and leaving from Peru, before we go, let me pull up one more thing. Let me see if I can find it, because I do got to go. Time to get organized, apparently. Okay, so we'll pull this up. And then one more. There it is. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is a question from investigators to Keegan Kline. Well, on February 13th, this would have been logged in a little bit earlier. So that would have been 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Early in the morning. Who's going to be there that quick? Somebody already in Peru, possibly. 8 o'clock in the morning at your house. And then they give the address where you and your dad lived. 2 separate devices. See the numbers here? How they're the same? Log in, log out. Log in, log out. One device, log in, log out, all within minutes of each other. So it's very strange that Anthony Schatz is supposed to meet Libby at the High Bridge, and you have somebody at 8 a.m. that morning logging in one phone to the account and logging in on another. So to me, that points a picture is possibly the killer is there logging into this account so that they can communicate or track their activity. And then also, the one device that is the most important to Keegan Kline, which was his personal phone, says here the phone, your phone that you had, all your search history was deleted from 2:10 to 2:15. There's nothing in between. So now that's interesting about that is all of those other phones have complete history. Nothing's gone. Okay. So during the time frame where this grooming would have been built up to meeting, it's gone. It's wiped away from your phone, but your other devices are complete. So I don't know. I'm starting to see the full picture of it all. I could be wrong. This could be half right. There could be some truth to all of it that we're hearing. Mustang says, Sleuth, do you believe the Odinist theory? I don't know yet. I don't think so. I mean, from the very beginning, we thought there was some kind of a ritual aspect to this. But now seeing the design of what they're calling runes and identifying certain things, I mean, it's possible because I'm not an expert. But what I see, no. I just don't see it. But yeah, it could be possible. Have to put a whole lot of people at the trails, and we've already put Richard Allen there. So the prosecution already has half of the battle won. All right, we're going to finish with this, guys. I have to get out of here. Welcome in Imitation Crab. I don't socialize with people much, but if I was accused of a crime, I am sure there would be people that would speak up. No one has said anything about Richard Allen. There was a couple people that came forward. They spoke to news media outlets saying that he was a great guy, that they even said that if they had any issues with their own children, that they would send them to Richard Allen's home for help. So I just have a feeling that Richard Allen is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. When he's with his wife, he's one person. He's the family guy. But when he's out and he's with these other folks, he's somebody completely different. All right, guys. I apologize if I didn't get to your comments here, but I do have to go. Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Julia. Everybody have a great day. Members, I will see you. Well, upgraded members only. We're going to have a little sit down tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we'll have a little roundtable discussion. So I'll see you guys later. Everybody else, have a great day and enjoy the rest of your night. Take care.